I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is all the mods 10 to the sky. Yes, it is dark here on the all the mods 10 to the sky world, and I tell you what, I should probably make it a little bit darker, because today I want to focus on mob farms, and it's going to be something that we have to get rid of these feral flare lanterns for. This is honestly keeping anything from spawning, and is going to make setting up mob farms incredibly difficult. So yeah, first thing first, I need to grab all of these out of the world, and they're all over the place. Then last but not least, this one, I'm pretty sure this is the final one, or at least I hope it is. Now also, while I was snooping around looking for light sources, there's a chest just randomly in here. I was like kind of thinking there might be some stuff in here, but yeah, no, there's literally just a random chest down here. But anyways, now that we have all of the feral flare lanterns removed, hopefully all of the invisible light sources will disappear. That's something that we're going to need to happen, especially since we need it to be dark for a mob farm to work. Now, to make said mob farm, it is going to require some ingredients. For example, diamonds, a bunch of iron, a little bit of redstone to actually make a mob crusher. We are going to need to be able to get dreadful dirt, which is going to come from the cursed chicken feed, which means we need to have killed a few mobs. Thankfully, we did that last episode. However, gunpowder, I think, is one of the things that we don't have, but I think we get all of this stuff from sieving, which isn't too bad. And we may already have some. Yeah, we definitely have some. And so we just need to feed that to a chicken. That'll get us all the stuff for dreadful dirt. I'm going to make a very small version of this, which shouldn't be too bad to do, but there is one thing that is making this challenging to get. I have tons of XP, but to be able to make the drain that allows us to get the XP out of us, it's a little bit challenging if we go this method to do it. Because this means we need Eyes of Ender, which means we need Ender Pearls, and I am very much lacking on Ender Pearls right now. However, we can sieve for Ender Pearls, but we do need crushed Instone to get this. The 7%, 8% chance, what is this? 10% chance to get it? Not too bad. Or instead of using 2 Ender Pearls, we could go this route, which is making the Just Dire Things experience holder, which also allows us to scoop buckets out of it. Not a bad idea. This might be the way to go, but it does require us getting a little bit into the Just Dire Things, which I've got to admit, not too bad. We still need to sieve a little bit of Instone, but that should be easily doable. And I think we should also upgrade our crucibles here to be able to produce significantly more lava. Right now we're at a burn rate of 5, but we could go even higher. So if we look at the crucible, we can see all of the different things that can heat it. And you can see soul lava is definitely the fastest, but the next is going to be a superheating element from Mechanism. And this is pretty cheap. It's just some copper, redstone, and steel. And osmium. We have all of this. I mean, at this point, you're probably like, well, Chosen, isn't like steel hard to make? No, not in this. We can actually do this quite easily. We just need some iron dust, which I think I have. Yeah, I have iron dust. So we just take this with 4 coal and throw in a hammer, and we actually get steel dust out of it. Now, there is a cheaper way to technically make this. If you really wanted to make steel, you could instead go about it by using an alloy kiln. Then it's just 1-to-1, but it does take a little bit of time, and it also takes coal to cook it. But yeah, this is actually a much better way of doing it, and making these blocks are not that expensive. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I did want to ask a question. Since we are working on mob farms, what is your favorite way to farm mobs in modded Minecraft? Let me know in the comments below. And so now let's go ahead and get rid of the flames down here, and I can just quite literally place this directly underneath, and now it's a 60 times. This is significantly faster at keeping lava in stock. This is going to make the production of Instone quite easy as well. Let's go ahead and take our hopper here. We can drop that, point it into this, place ourselves a stone barrel. We need to fill lava into this, so we'll just grab that, and lava gets filled into that barrel quite quickly. And then we need to technically pipe in, hopper in, really doesn't matter. Hoppering is very, very simple, just single block, and put the glowstone in. That's going to convert to Instone. Very loud. That is the weirdest lava splashing sound I've ever heard. Oh my goodness. Now, while that's producing Instone, which is going to grant us an Ender Pearl, this is where we need to dive into the Just Dire Things. And I think we have everything to do that. I mean, nether wart, is there a way for us to get nether wart? Soul sand? Oh, that's right. To be able to get soul sand, by the way, we have to go through another process. Oh, we should probably get that set up too. For this process, we need to make witch water, and that requires mycelium spores, which we do get from sifting dirt, it looks like. Do we get higher rates? 10% chance from an iron mesh. That's going to be the way to go, I think. So I do have a little bit of dirt that I can sieve up here. Are we going to get it on our first go? I hope. Mycelium spores, come on, I need you. There we go. Okay, we got at least 2, 3. Perfect. That's going to be more than enough. So I do want to surround this because I don't want it to spread to my entire island. So I do want to set up a little bit of an area, and I can brick it off for right now, or even put it underground. Actually, that might be even better. We can set this up down in the lower section, so we don't have to worry about it spreading. Or I could add it over here. No, let's definitely do it somewhere over here. I think actually this might be a good spot. So I do want to wall it off, and I want to do this in a 3x3 area. So we are going to need some of our dirt that I just used up. You know what? We can just use the dirt that's directly underneath it. That'll be fine. Actually, you know what? Let's just move it down here. Yeah, and these setups are kind of temporary. It's only going to be useful as we're getting started. And whenever we go to actually start building things and getting into larger infrastructure, that's when we're not going to really need these setups that much anymore. Or at least I hope that is. So now for this, we just want to separate it because, like I said, the spores are going to spread the mycelium. So we have this mycelium, and then we need to place in these oak barrels, and we need to fill them with water. Once they're filled with water, they will convert the water into witch water. Yeah, that one. And at this point, we should probably make a sink. This is going to provide unlimited water and allow us to use a pipe to fill these with water. Now, directly in the middle, I have placed the sink, set the fluid pipe to extract from the sink to fill these with water, which have now converted into witch water. But we are going to need a barrel. Let's just assume we have a barrel that is right here, maybe. This is going to be the input barrel, and this will be the output barrel. So I probably should get some barrels. And this isn't going to be the prettiest setup in the world, but we'll extract from the barrel. That will feed over here. And we might also need to somehow get a pipe to send back here. So something like this. And then from the top, this could be our receive, which pulls the items out. Perfect. Just like that. These all connect and lead into this. That'll work. And so to make this super simple, this pulls, and then these are going to be set to pull as well. And this would technically be automated. You can clean things up if you really wanted to. You can set these to be removed, so there's only one input side technically if you really wanted to, just if you wanted to make it look nicer. Now also, while I'm at it, I went ahead and ran a water pipe over here, so we have a barrel filled with water, so we can just easily make clay by just putting dust in this barrel. That'll send out, and might as well get that done too, so we have a nice supply of clay. So there's dust. You can get that thrown in here. Like I said, that's going to be converted into clay blocks. Pretty nice. And then this is all of the sand. So that goes in this and gets converted. But you may hear something that is absolutely awful, and that is that sound. If you go ahead and delete the muffle list by holding shift and then let it regenerate, we'll be able to find out exactly what that sound is. Barrel mixing. Oh boy, what a sound. So definitely use ESM to turn that down. That is extremely loud. And same with the transfer from the EX mod. You can also just search EX and turn that down quite a bit. Wow. But there we go. We have soul sand in this barrel, and over here we have clay being produced. By the way, I also think it's time for an upgrade for our stone generator. So we can technically upgrade this quite a ways, I think. We have iron, and then this goes up to gold, so we can do that. And getting it in a compacting drawer and having it produce into that is probably gonna be a good idea too. I think getting a compacting drawer setup is honestly super simple. However, you do have to place the cobble in first to get it jump started. So at least one piece of cobble, and then we'll be able to actually pull out the top tier. It'll save us from needing to handcraft. It's gonna be nice. Now remember, all of that was set up just so we can make ourselves some goo from Just Dire Things. And like I said, we should be able to just jump straight into the Blaze Bloom goo. But to help us with better rates once we start sifting, let's go ahead and convert all of our meshes to gold meshes since we have plenty of gold now. We are just kind of limited on diamond. So going to the next tier to diamond, this will hopefully help us. Let's try. Let's go for it. Let's sift up. Okay, a single stack, and perfect. Yep, that's exactly what we needed. We got 4 nether wart. Pretty nice, and I can actually plant some. Oh, and we can twerk grow it. Nice. Now with our blaze goo, we do need gold blocks, and this is where it's going to get a little bit expensive because it does cost quite a few. And there we go. So we have just about everything. Wart is actually what we need to power the blaze goo, I believe. So we'll place that down. We can get it powered up, and we'll get this placed on here for right now. And yeah, you can see that it is going to consume the blocks. If you haven't seen this mod, oh, this Just Dire Things is great. Like, not only this crafting mechanic, but like all of the stuff in the future crafts are so worth it. So good for automation. So many fun things to play with. Tools that allow us to dash around and stuff. Oh, it's great. And at this stage, we can actually get tools that repair themselves by just throwing them in lava. Yeah, it eats the lava. And then we quite literally have a fully repaired tool. Now, once it has fully consumed the block like this, the next stage should break it. And I think that our stone pickaxe is enough to break this. It looks like it might need to be iron. No, perfect. It works with this, and we can just pick it all up. Beautiful. Now, this does need to be smelted, and we got about 14 of them, which will make 14 ingots. Very nice. So now back to making the experience holder, such a powerful little thing. And we still need that ender pearl, right? So that means we need to crush the end stone. So over here, I have some end stone ready to go. And just like all of our other stuff that we've done, I'm going to compress down this much and give that a good hammering. Beautiful. And then with the crushed end stone, let's hope for an ender pearl. Okay, we actually got it on the first go. And a ton of eyes of ender. Wow. I mean, all of this is pretty darn good. Like, we're getting a lot of the mob drops without even needing a mob farm. But I will tell you, mob farms are incredibly powerful, not only just for the experience, but there's a lot of mob drops that we should be able to get from this that are going to help us tremendously with building all of our future farms. So now let's do this. Experience holder from Just Dire Things. Oh, how I love this thing. This is also going to help us with our mob farm because this should allow us, yes, to collect all of the XP in a range. We can also set target levels for ourselves to keep ourself filled up with XP up to a certain level. Great for enchanting setups. And we can also just store all of our levels in here. So all 51 of my levels are now safe inside of the experience holder, but I can also now use a bucket, and this is what's going to help us get started with this mob farm, to scoop up out of here liquid XP, which is what we need to be able to make the GM chicken feed. Now, one thing I will note, if you want to be able to pick up the XP, you do have to have the buckets in individual form, because if they are stacked, it won't let you. You just basically click into the interface. So we are now on the road to making ourselves a mob farm. GM chicken feed is one of the biggest parts of this, but now we got to find ourselves a chicken. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to use you, and we need to feed this to the chicken. Beautiful. And that gets us a rotten egg. That's going to allow us to make the dirt. And this dirt is what spawns in hostile mobs, but we also might want one that spawns in passive mobs. And if you want to get your hands on delightful dirt, yeah, you're going to need the nutritious chicken feed, which requires all the seed type. But I think I'm going to worry about that mob farm later. Instead, for right now, let's just focus on the hostile version. We are also going to want a lot of glass. And this can be very powerful too. We can just leave the sand in its compressed form. And I believe this will smelt it. Yeah, okay, I forgot. This is the top. It will smelt it in its compressed form and give you glass out in its compressed block form. What in the world? That's incredibly powerful. Now, the mob mesher is the big part of the mob farm. This is what's going to be doing all of the killing, applying fortune, and all kinds of other stuff. So we have ourselves the mob farm. I also made a couple of mob fans. We are going to need about 3 of them to push them. And this is going to be an incredibly small farm. Really, the internals are only going to take up about a 5x5, but the external, the entire farm itself, is only 7x7. So down under the base, they almost provide the perfect spot for a mob farm, which is right over here. Like, there's even this opening area. Oh, this is going to be great for this. Plenty of space. Some cool features, by the way, you can do with FTB Ultimine is you can hold down your grave key and shift, and you can scroll wheel to set this to a 3x3. Which makes it a whole lot easier for carving out areas like this. But now the space required, let's just assume that this right here is our glass. We are going to need a single block of clearance, and then the actual farm will be 1, 2, 3. And then we do need another clearance on the outer wall. So just make sure you have at least a single block of clearance around the 3x3 area of dirt that we're going to have here. and then this mob farm is going to work flawlessly for you. Yet again, just to visualize this, this is where the actual cursed earth is going to go, the dreadful dirt. And then right in front is usually where I put my mob masher, and then we are going to need a fan on each side. So we'll have a fan that goes right here, well, right here, a fan that goes on this side, and a fan in the back. And this fan in the back, we are going to need to put some upgrades in. I think these are fine. Yeah, these are more than fine. It's just this one is going to need one that widens it. And then I think lengthwise, it's just fine. Now, I also like to have a way to shut this farm off. And so right here is going to be a lamp that is going to be on the inside. So if I go ahead and take this in, just like so, I place in a lamp. We can just run a simple redstone line. That redstone needs to run all the way back here. I think that will actually power it even. And then, yeah, I mean, we just literally can flip the lever right on the roof right here. That should also work, I believe. Yeah. So if I place this here, place a lever, let's just see. That will power it on. That powers it off. And so long as we have light in here, mobs will stop spawning. Like I said earlier, we can throw in those upgrades. You can see that widens it to the perfect amount. And I think that's about it. Now, I do need a little bit of lava. I wonder if we can convert this, like putting leaves on top with water. Oh yeah, that does. Okay, so we have waterlogged that. Oh, that works just fine for lava. I'll also grab a little bit of tinted glass. Thankfully, I don't need a whole lot, and I needed the obsidian that you just seen for the absorption hopper, which I do want to use for collecting the items. However, Just Dire Things does have a pretty nice way too of collecting items. Maybe we could just forego using the absorption hopper altogether. Yeah, you know what? I mean, the item collector is super nice, and I did just make some ferrocore, which is the same operation here. However, instead of using gold, you use iron blocks. I mean, honestly, both methods work, but I'm already going to be using the experience holder to collect the XP, so might as well use the item collector. And I'm going to explain how all of these work here in a second. So now with the item collector, I do need somewhere to store the items, and honestly, the best solution to that is still sophisticated storage. It is just so powerful for voiding things that we don't want and allowing us to keep the things we really want. And it has such a huge storage capacity in a single block. It is the perfect thing for a mob farm. Now, like I said, to go along with this, void upgrade is going to be 100% necessary, an advanced void upgrade, and we may even need another void upgrade in the future. It is just super nice to be able to do one for tagging and one for very specific items. Now, also technically, if you really wanted to, you could just use the sophisticated storage to also collect the items from the mob farm, and you could even put a tank upgrade and have it collect the XP too, but yeah, no, I'm just going to stick with this. Sometimes I feel control is the best way to handle resources and things like that. And then you also get to use more upgrade slots for other things. So you don't need it for upgrading it to a tank and things like that. There's a rhyme and a reason for the way I think, or at least I'd like to think so. Oh, and I almost forgot a really important thing. The Ender inhibitor is going to be really, really necessary for this too. This is going to prevent Endermen from teleporting around. That's going to be, yeah, that would be a mess without that. And you know what? Instead of using the ladder system to go up and down, I mean, we could also just make a couple of elevators. Hear me out, hear me out. And yeah, that would make this operation so much better, right? We can just simply place an elevator right here, and then right at the bottom of this ladder, you know, we can maybe place an elevator down here too. Yeah, and then get rid of the elevator. So now we can just simply hit shift to travel down. Oh, I love the elevator mod. Boy, I do kind of miss open blocks, which I think is what it was originally from back in the day. Now, just a few things to test here. We do have to give these power. So making sure that fan works, this fan works, and making sure this works. And yeah, it looks like they all work in combination, which is perfect, which is what we need. And we want to make sure that we can get to this. It's, you know, it's almost impossible. Even holding shift doesn't let you get through this. Oh my. But a quick tip, if you are struggling to get through an area, you should be able to use torches. Wow, did they prevent? No way. This mod has really changed. Like every time I see an update from it, it's different. Like used to, if you place a torch, it would actually stop it from like detecting anything. No, it just, it doesn't stop for nothing now. But I do need it to shut off. So I still gotta get in here some way. So there we go. If we go above the block limit, perfect, I can shut that off. Running a redstone line to shut that off would probably make things a little bit easier. So you know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some redstone in here. And because this is longer than the 15 redstone signal, we are going to need a repeater to continue that signal on. And yeah, this should be more than enough. I'm just powering the blocks that's connected to the back by placing the redstone on top. That's going to be just fine, I think. And with the redstone right here, we can close up the wall, put a lever on the wall, and the lever should turn the fans on and off just like that. Now, this next part may not make a whole lot of sense, but I promise you, this is an incredibly powerful way to make this mob spawner fast. See, this dirt that we're about to place in, well, it has a special built-in feature. If you pulse it with redstone, it will spawn more mobs. So some tools that we can use to make this work really, really well is a cog block from Supplementaries. Yeah, that decoration mod. It actually has some really useful redstone stuff. And that's because regular redstone actually doesn't send up to the block above it. So cog blocks do, and they're kind of like power redstone cables. They can go up, they can go down. I really love this block. And we can pulse it. So there's a really simple pulse. This isn't the fastest you can pulse this, but a regular redstone clock that is set to its lowest setting here, I mean, is going to work. So the lowest setting is 5, and I believe this pulses like every 5 ticks, if I'm assuming that and reading that right. But unfortunately, we do need to use a redstone repeater to be able to trigger this. Otherwise, it will just actually lock the blocks. So this is what's going to happen. It's going to power on and off, on and off, on and off like this. And that makes this farm very, very powerful. Now, I do need to remove this block in particular that's right down here. So yeah, one of these blocks are not going to be ticked as fast. I mean, it should technically be ticked, but I do need to remove this because we also need to put a lever on the bottom down here to be able to turn on the actual mob masher and get that running. So we're almost there. I have my redstone lamp on just to make sure it is turned on, powered, ready to go. I got the dirt placed in, and we can turn the fans on demand. And I also want to start setting up the glass, but there's a few things that we also need to do, and I recommend doing this before getting anything else started. And that is, we need to get our XP, and we also need the chest for storing the items. So for me, I am going to have our XP handled right over here. We can go ahead and have that picked up. And then on this, I can put the item collector up top to send into this barrel. So these both have very similar setups. You do need to toggle on the render area and then start playing around with the offset. And you can see kind of, if you tilt it just right, you can kind of see the offset. And we just need to start moving this into the center of the farm. And then we can start expanding the size. And we need to make sure it's enough to cover the entirety of this farm, which is going to be within a 5x5. So I think 2x2. Yep, that's perfect. And then these settings I need to basically recreate over here with its own offset. And with this one, I do recommend expanding both of them for their range so they do go a little higher, just in case items get caught on top of the mob masher. I mean, just when you think we're almost done, we're not. There's still some more that needs to be done. I need to set the ticks. Right now, it's going to do an operation every 20 ticks. So every second in game, it's going to do a tick. And what we can do is we can reduce this down to 1, which is going to be really good for a mob farm like this, which needs to run and have the items picked up quickly. So yeah, you're going to be saving yourself in lag by doing this, making sure the ticks is happening every operation. Well, doing an operation every tick or every 1/20th of a second. Now, just to test if our item pickup is working, if I toss an item in there, you can see that the item gets picked up and gets immediately put into the barrel. That's perfect. Now, XP is going to be a little bit harder to test. So yeah, we just need to make sure that it is going to be collecting experience. So we have to toggle that on, and everything else can just be left as default, I believe. And after a deep breath and a nice pause, just to make sure that everything is where it should be before all chaos happens, we need to go ahead and place in the rotten egg, make sure the light is on. When we place this in, it's going to convert this into dreadful dirt. Then we can go ahead and place in the glass, which is going to make it incredibly dark in there whenever we turn the light off. And then we want to make sure the Ender inhibitor is placed in here somewhere to make sure Endermen do not teleport out of the box. And then last but not least, we turn the light off. And mobs should start spawning. We turn the fan on and let it rip. And that is incredibly fast, like I was saying. Look at all the resources already coming in. Yeah. So, like I was saying, you don't really need a large mob farm. This works just fine. Now, just like we changed some settings earlier in the ESM mod, this time, I think it would be a good idea to make sure in the sound muffler mod, we actually set a individual anchor. This is super important. And then we can go in the anchor and we can set this to like 8 blocks. So while we are here within this area, 8 might be good enough. We can prevent death sounds and hurt sounds and all of these individual sounds from happening. I recommend just searching things like hurt and death, because all of these sounds we want turned off specifically under this channel, and it doesn't affect anything else in the world. Also, ambient. Ambient's a pretty good one too. Now, the mob farm is great, but it can be better. We can also add like efficiency upgrades and stuff in here. We can make sharpness, make it instantly kill the mobs, basically. But we do have to figure this out, and this is where the void upgrade comes into play. So within here, let me show you how easy it is to actually filter. So within the advanced void upgrade, we have a few options, and then we need to set up and basically get rid of all of the tools. Now, there are some tools that we could keep, but I'm just going to be voiding most of these tools. So let's go ahead and start by doing that. We need to go underneath the match items, and instead of match items, we're going to go to match tags, and this is pretty interesting. We can place this in here, and there are some tags in here that we can go ahead and select. For example, C tools, and we can scroll wheel to get to that list. Whenever we find it, we add C tools to this, and now anything that's a tool, which we can turn this on so that way the voiding works in the GUI, and I can now pick it up, put it back in, and we'll notice it's going to void these tools. We shouldn't have to worry about any of our own items getting into this farm. Well, unless by some coincidence, we happen to be in the farm, since I did set the farm to only pull items from within it. So long as that's the case, we should be fine. And it's going to void items that are inserted into this. We also could do the same thing for armor. There should be a C armor, which is common armor. And now all of these armors can also be voided. Very nice. We can always undo this at any time if we wanted to farm, for example, armor or anything like that. But yeah, there are some things in here that we may not want to have like a tremendous amount of. Glass bottles I might keep for right now, but yeah, we don't want like leather armor and things like that. I don't think we want health potions. These are all just things that we don't really want, I don't think. Also, our glass bottles, do glass bottles have the C drink? No. Okay, so yeah, we can just use C drink, quite literally void every single potion. Like, that's super easy too. And just anything that has that shows up in here that we don't want, like I can quite literally just get rid of it. Like this is awesome. Minecraft arrows, that's a basic tag, and now all arrows are going to be voided. And so to turn it back on, making sure everything is working as it should, we just kind of sit back and watch, and we need to make sure to get some upgrades in here to hold multiple stacks per slot, and our mob farm is going to be ready to go. And it's going to be ready here soon to get sorted into a much larger storage network. But for right now, this is the way to go. Also, if you notice any lag that starts to happen in your world, run to your mob farm, because yeah, there could be an issue with this. Now, redstone can be set up with this to detect if this is full, and then if it is full to turn the light on. But yeah, I mean, just bear this in your own world. Like, keep that in mind. Something else to notice here, look how much redstone we are getting from this farm. The witches are so good at giving redstone, and this farm alone produces more redstone than we've already generated with our sieving methods. So I do want to get stack upgrades in there, like I mentioned before. So I've gone ahead and made up the stack upgrades. They are kind of expensive for these stack upgrades, but it's so worth it. And just these two alone should expand our stacks up to 4,000 items per slot. And along with that, we are also generating a ton of XP, which is just slowly building up in here. And whenever we need to enchant and do all of that stuff, we're going to have plenty. And so I've got to say, this has to be by far the best starting mob farm, hands down. Of course, you can always let me know down in the comments below. What's your thoughts on this mob farm? Is it a bit much? Is it perfect? Is it heavily optimized? I've been working on this for years, and I think this has to be quite literally one of the best ways to set it up. I don't know. We can argue down in the comments. I'll fight you over it. But now, if you did enjoy today's episode, don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. And also check out the Discord, discord.gg/ChosenArchitect, where you can join the amazing crew today. And guys, I hope to see you in the next one. And without further ado, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to The Flying Poo. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting one of the best ways possible, gaining access to world downloads and supporter servers and all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you so much, and I do appreciate it. And thanks to all of you guys for watching today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And as always, yet again, Thanks for watching.